Enter the world of Charlie Maddox, private investigator, as he uncovers the dark secrets and twisted mysteries of Dunhaven. Armed with only his wits and a trusty revolver, Maddox navigates the treacherous streets, haunted by a curse that seems to follow him wherever he goes. Each case plunges him deeper into a web of lies, deceit, and danger as he unravels the truths that lurk in the shadows. This is Maddox Mysteries, the Curse of Dunhaven, where every investigation is a race against time, and the only certainty is uncertainty. Tonight's episode, the sound of a gunshot. The rain pounded the cobblestones as private investigator Charlie Maddox navigated the dimly lit streets of Dunhaven, a port town that had seen better days. The town was a labyrinth of shadows, each alleyway harboring secrets as tightly as the grime that clung to the weathered walls. Maddox's footsteps echoed through the empty streets, a staccato rhythm that seemed to mock him with each step. He pulled his coat tighter, the cold night air seeping into his bones. The case he was working on was a convoluted mess, a web of lies and deceit that wormed its way through the underbelly of Dunhaven like a venomous snake. A local shipping magnate had been found dead, his body washed ashore on the banks of the River Dun. Maddox had a gut feeling that this was no ordinary murder, but something far more nefarious. A faint light glimmered in the distance, drawing Maddox towards it like a moth to a flame. He turned down a narrow, foul-smelling alley, the stench of rotting garbage and stale ale assaulting his senses. The light grew brighter, illuminating a worn wooden door with faded paint. A sign above it read, "The Fox Inn." As Charlie Maddox pushed open the door to the Fox Inn, the warmth from the crackling fireplace and the murmur of hushed conversations washed over him. The dimly lit room was filled with a motley crew of sailors, fishermen and townsfolk, each nursing their drink as if it held the answers to their woes. Maddox made his way to the bar, the floorboards creaking beneath his weight. The bartender, a grizzled old man with a scar over one eye, gave him a wary look as he approached. Maddox ordered a whiskey and began to survey the room, searching for any clue that might lead him closer to the truth. As he sipped his drink, his attention was drawn to a woman sitting alone in the corner. She was beautiful, her dark hair cascading over her shoulders like a veil of shadows. Her eyes, a piercing shade of green, seemed to hold a world of secrets. Maddox's instincts told him that she was somehow connected to the murder of the shipping magnate. He approached her table, his footsteps muted by the hum of conversation around them. She eyed him warily, her gaze sizing him up as if trying to discern his intentions. Maddox introduced himself and asked if he could join her. Reluctantly, she nodded, her eyes never leaving his face.
Charlie Maddox, private investigator. I'm looking into the death of Piers Bishop. You seem like someone who might have information. Mind if I join you?
Evelyn Sterling hesitates, then nods slowly.
I'm Evelyn Sterling. I don't know anything about Piers Bishop, but I'm desperate for help. My husband, Dr. Jonathan Sterling, has been missing for a month. I'm afraid something terrible has happened to him.
Maddox sits down across from her, a look of concern on his face.
Dr. Sterling? I've heard that name before. Socialites from Ruford, but I haven't heard about his disappearance. What do you think happened? So, you and Dr. Sterling are from Ruford town? What was he doing in Dunhaven? Hardly the Costa del Sol.
Evelyn takes a sip of her drink before answering.
Jonathan has been working at Dunhaven Asylum since the end of the Great War. He's been trying to help the veterans deal with their mental scars. But then, he started investigating these strange disappearances in the town, and everything changed.
Maddox leans back, his expression thoughtful.
It sounds like Dr. Sterling may have stumbled onto something dangerous. I'm here investigating the death of Piers Bishop, but I'm curious, Evelyn, did you hire me?
Evelyn shakes her head.
No, I didn't hire you, but I think I know someone who might be able to help both of us. There's an ex-police officer named Michael Dawson. He told me some information about these disappearances that might be connected to Pierre's death and Jonathan's disappearance.
Maddox's interest is piqued.
Michael Dawson, you say?
He was the one who dealt with Pierre's case before his fall from grace. He's been spending his days drinking at the old lighthouse on the outskirts of town. Just be careful. He's not the most reliable source, but he might know something that could help.
Thank you, Evelyn. I'll talk to him and see what I can find out. In the meantime, if you think of anything else that could be helpful, please let me know.
As Maddox left the inn and stepped back into the rainy night, he couldn't help but feel that he was on the cusp of uncovering a web of secrets that ran deep within the town of Dunhaven. With each step, he was drawn further into the mystery, determined to find answers for both Evelyn Sterling and the unknown person who had hired him to investigate Piers Bishop's death. As the rain continued to pour, Charlie Maddox hurried down Harbour Road, his senses on high alert. He couldn't shake the feeling that someone was following him, their presence a menacing shadow in the stormy night. The sound of his footsteps splashing through puddles echoed off the walls of the nearby buildings, mixing with the distant rumble of thunder. His heart raced as he approached the intersection of Harbour Road and Beacon Lane, the peninsula that stretched out into the dark sea, culminating in the old lighthouse. He glanced over his shoulder, peering into the darkness, but could see no one. Suddenly, a gunshot rang out from the direction of the lighthouse. Maddox instinctively pulled his revolver from its holster and gripped it tightly. Without hesitation, he sprinted toward the lighthouse, his coat flapping wildly in the wind. The lighthouse loomed before him, its light cutting through the rain and illuminating the rocky terrain. Maddox's eyes darted around, searching for any sign of movement. As he approached the entrance, he noticed the door slightly ajar, creaking gently in the wind. He pushed the door open, his gun raised and ready. Inside, the air was thick with the smell of gunpowder. He moved cautiously, scanning the room for any threats. The lighthouse was deserted, save for a lone oil lamp flickering in the corner. Maddox cautiously climbed the spiral staircase leading to the top of the lighthouse. The wind howled outside, battering against the walls and rattling the windows. As he reached the top, he caught sight of a figure slumped over the lighthouse balcony, staring down into the stormy sea. Maddox rushed over to the railing, his fingers gripping his trusty revolver as he did. He peered down into the darkness, just in time to see a shadowy figure fleeing from the lighthouse, disappearing into the cold, black night. The mystery deepened as Maddox turned his attention back to the slumped figure on the balcony. He knelt beside the body and quickly examined the dead man's wallet, and quickly discovers it's the lifeless form of Michael Dawson. The ex-police officer was dead, a gunshot wound on Bis' left temple, but there was no gun. A sense of dread washed over Maddox as he realized that this was no suicide. Dawson had been murdered. As Maddox examined the body, he noticed a strange symbol carved into Dawson's left hand. It appeared to be of Norse origin, resembling a straight line with two diagonal lines branching off. The wound looked recent, the skin around it red and inflamed with trickles of blood still dripping from Dawson's fingertips. Maddox quickly sketched the symbol in his notebook, his mind racing with possible connections and implications. As he finished his sketch, a commanding voice cut through the stormy night.
Stop! Drop the revolver. You're under arrest.
Maddox spun around to see 3 police officers, their guns trained on him. He cautiously raised his hands, his revolver still in his grip.
Officers, I'm a private investigator. My name is Charlie Maddox. I was investigating a murder when I heard a gunshot and found this man dead.
Save it for the station, Maddox. Yes, we know who you are. We've been keeping an eye on you. Drop the weapon and put your hands behind your head.
Maddox reluctantly dropped his revolver and followed the officer's orders, his mind still reeling from the night's events. As they led him away from the lighthouse, he knew he would have to work quickly to clear his name and uncover the truth behind the strange symbol and Dawson's murder. Charlie Maddox, framed for murder and caught in a web of deceit, must now navigate the treacherous waters of Dunhaven's underworld to solve the case and prove his innocence. But with time running out and enemies closing in, will he be able to break the curse of Dunhaven before it's too late? Tune in next time to see if Maddox can clear his name and unravel the mystery of the curse of Dunhaven.